gazing longingly at the snacks on the table. Want to eat? So, I generously gave him a piece. The little servant started to devour it. He thought the young master was alright. But then, an officer burst in. How dare you speak to anyone in here?
Such boldness! Are you eating? Did you steal some food? Answer me!
No, sir. He gave it to me. He's my friend. No, I just arrived. He was already eating. I've never seen him before. The little servant looked stunned. The young master, who had seemed nice just before, suddenly turned and betrayed him. When I return, I'll show you.
What fate awaits a thieving rat? The young master regretted it right away.
He recalled yesterday. He saw another servant in the house. He just knocked over the officer's glass. Foolish Jew bastard! Was promptly dragged out, had a leg broken. The father at the table seemed cold, as if such days were commonplace, and the lie he just told may very well lead to the maid's demise. He felt deep regret, hoping to explain what just happened. Filled with guilt, he ran to their usual play spot, but he still couldn't find her. He wanted to apologize to her, at least to make it right, but he didn't yet realize the cost of atoning for this guilt. The first time they met was about half a month ago. That was his first day moving here with his father. They moved from Berlin to this remote place because his father was promoted. He became the commander of this area. He had many good friends back in his old city, but their whole family moved for his father's job to this desolate, uninhabited place. He was very unhappy. All these soldiers surrounded him, and there was no one to play with. He was so bored he climbed to the window. That's when he discovered a good spot. He saw a farm in the distance through the window, where many children were playing, but strangely, they were all wearing striped pajamas. Naively, he didn't know what that meant, so he ran to ask his father why those farmers wore striped pajamas.
In fact, those people are Bruno's.
Dad was about to tell him, but Mom interrupted. Bruno, who told you that was a farm? Isn't that just a farm? Yes. She didn't want such a young child to know these things. He wanted to play with those children, but his folks said no. They even boarded up all the windows, and they didn't allow Bruno to leave the yard. The more curious Bruno became about the farm, that day was his first time seeing anyone in pajamas. He was really bored. He wanted a tree swing, so he found one of his father's officers. He immediately shouted at the man near the fence.
Come here.
Hurry!
Bruno was startled. He didn't get this officer was being so rude to the old servant. The old servant was timid, afraid to show any slack. He quickly found a tire. He helped Bruno prepare for autumn. He saw smoke from the distant barbecue. Curious, he rose to look. As a result, he fell off the swing. The old servant rushed over. She quickly took Bruno back to bandage him. Her technique was quite skilled. During their chat, Bruno learned that the old maid used to be a doctor. I used to be an intern.
Before I came here. Just then, Mother suddenly returned.
The old maid was nervously at a loss, but to her surprise, Mother did not blame him.
Thank you.
He still doesn't know why the old maid is so nervous. Dad found a tutor for him and his sister to teach them German history, but Bruno just couldn't focus on it. He only liked adventures. He always remembered that farm. That day, he found no one around. He ran to the house's backyard and jumped out the window. He made his way through the woods. Finally, he found the farm he had long gazed at. Here he met Shmuel for the first time. As soon as they met, Shmuel asked him, "Do you have any food?" "No." "Are you hungry?" Look at him. He's been hungry for a while. When Bruno learned that Shmuel is his age, Bruno was excited. This was his first friend here. See what Shmuel was wearing. He suddenly felt it was unfair. It's not fair that I'm at home doing nothing, while you're here playing with friends all day. Game? That number. He thought Shmuel's number was for a game. Just then, with the whistle, Shmuel hurriedly stood up. His small body trembled as he pushed the cart, and he left. The next day, Bruno brought chocolate. He wanted to find Shmuel to play, but Shmuel didn't show up. He boldly threw iron pieces, only to find the fence had an electric charge. He didn't dwell on it. The next day, while his parents were out, he ran back to the fence. This time, he asked Shmuel some questions. Why do you all wear striped pajamas all day? These aren't pajamas, aren't they? We have to wear this. They took our clothes. Who did that? Those soldiers. Soldiers? Why? Maybe you can come to my house for dinner. Can't because of this. Is this to keep those animals inside? Animals? No, it's to keep people from running away. You can't come out? Why? Did you do something wrong? I am Jewish. This was Bruno's first time hearing that word. He doesn't know yet what that means until Dad gets a teacher for him and his sister to teach them. Jews detest us, inciting our enemies. Jews try to undermine us through books, mocking our literature and music. Wherever they are, their influence is destructive, all to bring down our nation. Hearing this, Bruno began to question. I don't get it. One person caused the nation's collapse? Jews refer to the entire Jewish people.
If it's just one person, I'm sure he'd get what he deserves.
But there must be good Jews, right?
I think Bruno's one. If you find a Jewish person who is good,
he disagrees with the teacher's statement. He believes that good and bad people in this world should not be categorized by race. He thinks Shmuel is a good person, so he stopped attending the teacher's lessons. Instead, he sneaked to the kitchen. He took a lot of snacks and brought them to Shmuel. Shmuel wolfed them down. He threw the ball to Shmuel, wanting to play with him, but Shmuel warned him. Don't throw it here. Why? It's risky. Risky? He's still curious about how their number game works. Tell me how the number game works. I told you, it's not a game. We just have numbers, that's all. Just then, a whistle blew again. Shmuel hurriedly left. He ran into his mother when he returned. He used an excuse to slip by. An officer nearby suddenly spoke. It smells worse when it's burning, doesn't it?
What?
The mother was stunned. She thought a while. She glimpsed bacon far off. She suddenly understood what the officer meant. She directly asked her husband, how could you?
because I'm a soldier, soldiers must fight. This isn't war. This is a crucial part of the war. Everyone, you included, is our hope. Without such work, it cannot be realized.
Elsa! Don't touch me! She couldn't believe her husband could commit such a cruel act. She argued fiercely with her husband, but she felt she couldn't change it. And on that day, the old maid spilled wine while serving. She spilled the glass by mistake. Stupid Jewish bastard!
The mother bet the father.
But the father showed no care, as if this was an everyday occurrence. Bruno didn't get it either. Why didn't the father intervene? By then, the sister was already shaved. Dad just sat there watching. What do you want from him? The Jews deserve it. He suddenly saw his father is such a cold-hearted person. Everyone around him were feeding Bruno the same ideas. He began to pout. He began to think about what they said. They are different from us. They are enemies, Bruno. Evil and dangerous like pests. That day, he appeared in the dining room. He saw Shmuel washing cups. He was quite amazed, but then remembered what others taught him. We shouldn't be friends, you and I.